So right after the opening, this second part, the middle part, is the development phase. This middle phase is the part in which we demonstrate the value of our product, service, or offer, and we encourage the prospect into making a decision based on emotional images. So this is the structure that you need to follow in this middle phase. You need to first prove your value, prove that the product actually works and does what advertises, and after proving the value, force the prospect to make a decision whether they want to carry on as they have until this point without your product, without your service, without your offer, or they're going to take this leap of faith in which they decide to change their lives for good. In this part, you need to clearly state your value proposition, and you need to repeat your claims and actually make them sound a bit more emotional. If you're telling people that your product will actually make them save a lot of time, don't tell them that. Don't tell them that they will be able to save time with your product. Why don't you rather tell them what they could do with that time that they will be saving? For example, spend time with your family and loved ones, find out new ways to make money. Like, instead of telling people just, okay, with this product you will save an hour a week, tell people exactly how they can spend that hour a week, like which are the emotional images that you will convey in that hour a week. Maybe you can tell them that they could spend an afternoon walking in the beach with your family or with your better half, or maybe you can tell them how they would like to spend an extra hour a day. Remember, the emotion and value that sells the most is freedom. So if you're able to actually relate these claims that you're making, this value proposition of your product, service, or offer with the concept of freedom, you'd be well ahead of the curve. So, what extra things can you do on this development phase? Remember that your product or service or offer has claims, what your product, service, or offer claims that it can do. So you need to make your claims more memorable by repeating them again and again. You also need to foolproof your claims. You need to edit them and make them the shortest and simplest possible, and keep them relevant to your prospect. Make sure that they provide a cure to their pain and that the claims are short and simple. One of the main objectives of this middle part is to disarm your prospect. Actually, those are the purposes of the emotional images that you will be conveying, because remember that this middle part is when the brain pays the least amount of attention to what you're saying. So you need to make sure that it's not attention what you want from the brain. It's just having the brain cooperate by generating images, visualizing themselves in a situation that is full and filled with emotions. You also, as I said before, need to demonstrate your value by actually providing proof that your claims are accurate. And just towards the end of the second part, you need to introduce your product, service, or offer. Have you noticed that up until this point, we haven't spoken about our product at all? This has a quite simple reason behind it, and it's that your prospect does not care about what your product is. Their only concern is what your product can do for them. If you have listened to what I have told you up until this point, you have already provided proof that they need your product and they need to solve the problem that they have, and you have the solution to solving that problem. Now it's time to introduce to that solution. So, the introduction of your product marks the transition from the second part, the middle part, the development part, to the end part, the closing part, the conclusion. You can introduce the product the way you want. You can tell them its name, maybe even how you came up with your product, how long it has been on the market. Basically, with the introduction of your product, you can still provide proof of value. You can still be providing proofs. So right here, you need to take into consideration that attention is really low, and that your main goal in this middle part is to take attention from the beginning to the end, to keep the attention that was captured at the beginning and keep that attention through the middle and into the end where the call to action is.